Alright, it is late. We gotta get some work done on this wagon because I know I haven't worked on it lately, and well, we got a 3D printed part to try out on this gauge cluster. So let's see if it fits. This will be the test fit, and make any adjustments, and then send it. So let's get into it. All right, so we have the 3D printed out template. This is not the finished product. This is just a cheap print to see if the file he made fits. And it is almost spot on. I mean, almost. Obviously, we're not gonna be using white then. We're either gonna wrap it in some kind of leather or vinyl, or we may clean it up and paint it. I'm not sure. So this is almost spot on. The only issue is there's a little piece that sticks out that I guess didn't get picked up on these corners. So we're going to trim that corner and trim this corner over here where my Sharpie marks are. And this thing should sit flush. So let's see, let me make my cuts real quick and then see what it looks like. All right, we are burning some midnight oil tonight. We essentially have this mocked in. It's holding with the brads that are factory from the factory Speedo, and they all clipped in. Everything appears great on this. I had to cut these corners a little bit because this ridge sticks out. I guess it didn't get picked up on in the scan, or it just got, you know, forgot about it a little bit. No big deal. But anyway, though, just had to make a little cut right there. And over here, same thing. There's a little ridge. So made a slight cut. The radio fits in perfectly right there. As you can see, it'll sit kind of flush with the face of this right here. So it won't stick out. Let me see if I can get a, yeah, there you go. It kind of angles out. That's it. Obviously the EFI gauge, you can see everything. So let's get the dash pad on here probably and see where we're going to need to trim or if we're going to need to change anything. But so far, this is the iteration for everything. All right, so some of you guys can see where I'm going with this, or knew where I was going with this, but this is with the dash pad on. Obviously, this is the factory dash pad, no cuts. It's not bolted in. If it was bolted in, it'd be a little bit higher up right here. So we are gonna have to, we're redoing this dash pad anyway. It's cracked over there. It's in not good shape. This actual back piece bolts on. So it's good at the bottom, I think. We may trim the lip down a little bit. At the top, we're going to trim the top up just a little bit. We don't need much. Probably if we get rid of that lip around the surround, it's going to be perfect. And again, if I blacked this entire piece out right now, you wouldn't see any of this. So that's what I'm going for. The factory Speedo was black. Everything was black in there. It's going to be black, except for those white buttons on the radio dash. There's nothing I can do about those. They'll glow whatever color. I don't even know. That was a cheap radio off Marketplace. So we're going to trim that back piece, and then we're going to keep trying to see and see if it fits up right. But I'm happy with the progress so far. We're going to keep grinding it out. All right, dash pad is back off. As you can see, this is the part I'm talking about. You can actually unbolt this plastic panel from the actual dash pad, and that's what we're going to do. And we're going to pretty much just trim off this outer surrounding piece. That should give us enough clearance for the screen that we need and for the radio. Again, you will not see any of that. That's all going to be black, end product black, or I may wrap it in vinyl or some kind of Alcantara. I don't know. Haven't got that far. Yes, there's wiring still everywhere. As y'all know, I hate wiring, so I do about 20 or 30 minutes, then move on to stuff like this. The screen takes the, basically takes the signals from the turn signals, high beams, and all my gauges. So there's no point in me doing anything twice, so I've been waiting to get that screen officially locked in so then I can finish the wiring down here. So there's a method to the madness. I know it seems that I've just not done anything in here, but as you can see, light switches right here, it's all labeled. You can't see back there, but the actual steering column with all the things are labeled. Basically just waiting on this screen to get in, and then basically wire it up, and we're one step closer to popping it back up and actually taking it for a ride. I can't wait, to be honest. One of the other major things is this back glass. Obviously, I've mentioned that in other videos, but I don't know if anything in here works at all. this door was pretty much left open with no window. So the bottom of it's rotten out. You can't see from the outside. It looks pretty good shape out on the outside. And that's because water drained, I guess, out the holes. But the tracks are messed up and the motor's probably no good. But it is a power window, so to open this door, you have to have the window down far enough for it to actually come open. And if it doesn't hit that, it sticks, basically. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. Once you get it obviously working, it's great. But getting it there sometimes is fun. I have it dialed in right now where I know how to open it with no window in it, and it works. But obviously we don't want to drive this with no window if it starts to rain. We also don't want water getting down in our new floor down here where our fuel cell's hidden. So there's a few things. I've sourced one. I'm just kind of waiting on a price. It's going to hurt because they're kind of hard to come by, but a complete tailgate shell would be awesome. We could get that working, and then I could probably mimic the paint. Obviously, I want to keep as much of this car the same color as possible, but I do believe I could probably mimic this rust pattern pretty good. So we might try our hand at that, but that is pretty much where the wiring is waiting on, is the dash up there. It's even waiting for the tail lights as the tail lights run through the steering column. So again, I didn't want to do anything twice, so we're just kind of waiting on that. Let's get this piece out and then trim off and see where we are at. All right, we got that piece off. We're going to measure the actual screen width and see just how much we're going to have to take off. These are adjustable to an extent. So we're going to measure this and see just how much we're going to have to take off. The bottom's not going to be much at all. The top, I'm worried, is going to be the most, and we'll see what happens. It may end up being this full exact lip, and it is what it is, but we're about to measure and see. All right, so I took that piece off and just happened to throw this dash pad up here just to see how off it was without that. Honestly, there's a gap, honestly, right there. But if I'm redoing the dash pad anyway, I could just make the corners longer on the end and wrap those and then wrap that piece and then not have that center section, or I can cut that. I'd rather not cut that piece, but I don't know. Now I'm kind of torn because that's about perfect because it's really sunk in there now. And again, it's kind of more back. Obviously, I don't like the gap. That's what I'm kind of torn with, is do I cut that other piece and make it work, or do we try to make something for the gap instead with that piece not in? I'm going to continue looking at it, but right now, I'm not sure. Not sure. I do like the piece covering up the middle where the gap is, but I also kind of like how open this is. It just kind of makes it sink back further. It doesn't look so narrow, which isn't a big deal, but there is a gap way down there that I don't like, so we'd have to come up with something. But let's continue working on it. Again, here's the angle from further back. All that being dark, you would not see it, so it should look pretty factory when the car's off. That's the plan as usual, or that's what I've said. So we're going to take some measurements and we may play with this thing and see if we can get it looking a little bit tighter while still being able to see the screen as well. So let's play with it and see what happens. All right, I wish I could power all this stuff on and show you, but I do not have everything hooked up to where I would feel comfortable putting power to anything. But that is it, I think. I think that's the final cut of that piece I need to make. I'm going to make slight tweaks to this corner so this isn't showing over here. You see I made a note over there. But I left this open up here, and I will probably fill that in and box it up top, or I may just leave it open to catch some of the light so it's not as bright. But yeah, I can see everything I need to see sitting on the bench seat should, and I like it. So I did end up cutting a good bit of that lip off. So here's the pile that I cut. So not very much. This is the main piece, and that cut piece is this piece right here. So there is a mount point for the dash pad that's here. We're gonna have to basically forgo that one. Is the only problem with this, just because it's right in the corner of the screen where it would be mounting. I knew that when I cut the back side of this, so I'm not really worried about it. There's another mount point over here, as well as several more. And then this one right here on the radio, this piece, this little plate pops out, and there's a mount point there. So that covers that. That covers the radio almost perfectly. I mean, I couldn't ask for it any better. Essentially, let me see if I can get about straight on. I'm tall, so that's the thing, but I made clearance out a little bit more up here, but I think that's going to be money right there. So again, with the car off, you won't see, most of that stuff will be hidden, or you won't see it. It's just going to be a black abyss, essentially. So the only thing that I'll probably go overboard and try to do is where I cut out right here. I will probably make a top panel that goes up in here and fills this gap, so you can't see up into the dash pad. That will probably happen, but I kind of like it open because I could always add ambient lighting maybe. I'm not sure. For now, I am happy with this where it's at. I'm going to see about getting him to print me a final piece for that back end. I got to take all this back apart to give him this piece, so he has a template to go on. But that is as tedious as it comes, and again, that's the stuff that kind of takes more time than you think it would. But you know, we're in uncharted territory. I don't think I've ever seen anybody make a dash for these besides maybe just a panel and some you know, round gauges. So we're trying to do something a little bit different, but also tasteful at the same time. I've already been told I've ruined this car by putting a Solus screen in here once, so I'm sure, you know, these are the gauges. That's it, literally. Speedo, radio, that's it. And then there's a fuel gauge right here. That's it. That's all you get on this car. The rest are dummy lights. So, would I like to keep it factory? Yes. Could I make it work? Yes. With a lot of patience and things changing over, I could probably make all that work, but then I'd still have to have other gauges for important things to keep an eye on the engine. So some aren't going to like it. I don't care. That's what we're going with. We're going to have fuel gauge, we're going to have oil pressure, coolant temp, tach, speedo, and then we'll have left and right turn signals, and then also a high beam indicator on this gauge set. So we will have absolutely everything we would need to keep an eye on this car, and you know, basically not have to have stuff hanging out from under the dash, like 3 gauges hanging down like old in the 80s, 90s. Some cars still have them. It just looks busy to me. Again, I'm not knocking anybody that does that. This is just what I wanted, and I'm super happy that I spent the money on the screen. I was back and forth. Everything I wanted to do would have involved just as much work and probably more money. So I just bit the bullet and did it. Sometimes you just need to buy the thing and make it work around it. So we're going to take all this back apart tonight. I'm going to get this panel with my buddy. He's going to print it out of some carbon material. I'm not real versed in the 3D printing. I'm sure some of you could probably correct me, but the final print will be some type of carbon so it can handle the heat a little bit better. This white stuff will actually melt in decent temperatures. I was told not to leave it in the shop overnight and tomorrow, so I'm going to get it in the back in the car and back to him tomorrow, so it does not melt, because we definitely don't want that happening. So I'm pretty happy with it. I hope y'all are too. Leave me some comments. Let me know what you think. Obviously, I'm sure I'm going to make somebody mad, but it's kind of throwing me off with a white background. So I should have probably just like sprayed it black just to kind of get an idea. But anyways, we are done with this for now. We will get this panel back, get all this assembled, get all this wiring cleaned up and put in, and then once we get wiring put in, we'll probably crank it over and we'll try to figure out what we're going to do with the rear power glass and that whole situation. That's a whole nother project for another day. So thank y'all very much, and hope you enjoyed this wagon update for the week. I have not had much time to work on it, so I apologize. I know some of you have asked for wagon updates the last 2 weeks. I went to help Robert, and then this whole conquest thing kind of fell in my lap. So if you didn't see that video, go back and check it out. It's kind of interesting, especially with bullet holes. But anyway, thanks for staying tuned. See y'all soon.